we find ourselves driving west on Route 80 towards Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're in the middle of Pennsylvania. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and I've got a good 60,000 pound crane with no headlights. These damn things, that's low beam. They shine right down at the road, can't see a daggum thing, but it's a clear night. So down the road we go, and I don't need to have a bunch of scenery to talk to you. And I keep bringing up the subject of the Toad, the car that I tow behind the truck, and I keep telling you how wonderful that car is. Well, what I forgot to tell you is the weight of the car. So out of the factory, that thing weighs 3,820 pounds. Now, they built those from 1995 to 1998 on that same platform, frame, running gear, and pretty much the same weight. They beefed up the suspension and gave the motor a little more horsepower with the VTEC engine in the later years. But when they went into the minivan market seriously, people wanted more horsepower, they wanted more room, they wanted more accessories. So in '99, they built the minivan with the sliding side doors and power rear hatch and power seats and you name it. But it went from 3,820 pounds to 6,450 pounds. So when they did that, they really didn't beef up the transmission, but they did beef up the motor. So that poor transmission in between the heavier duty motor and a twice heavy van made that automatic transmission a pile of crap. You didn't get more than 100 to 150,000 miles and those things were burned up and just used up. And it wasn't until I think about 2003 or 4 that they actually got smart and put a good transmission in there. So the middle years for an Odyssey are total crap because of that weak automatic transmission. Now, the 3,820 pounds is very critical that you get a tow car, a tow vehicle that is as light as you possibly can survive in. Now, I live out on the road, so that bed that you saw in the van, that's critical to me that I lay down because my legs swell up and I cannot even walk on them after a while if I don't lay down to sleep. I tried it in a coupe Honda with a 4-speed, a 4 and over, and my legs did not weather well. They ended up like softballs at my ankles, and I couldn't control it because I couldn't lay down. I was always sitting up when I slept and sitting up when I drove. I put my feet on top of the driver's seat to elevate them as much as I can at times when they're really sore, and it helps take the swelling down. So I need something with a bed, something I can tow, but something very light. And I keep going back to 3,820 pounds. My van weighs 4,200 pounds, so I'm 2 ton of van. But where it comes in critical is the fact that out here on the road, being a road whore, you're going to work for at least two, possibly 3 dispatcher companies that do different vehicles. And a lot of times you'll end up pulling a 3/4 ton pickup truck with a crew body on it and a tool bed and whatever that's already overloaded with junk, but they don't have to go over the scales. The problem comes when you add another 2 ton to the back. You want to make that as light as possible because the truck's already swaying all over the road, and you add 2 tons of weight that is not going to help out. It's going to hinder going up hills, and it's going to really hinder going down hills, and it's deadly in slippery snow, hydroplaning, or sleet, or especially slush, which is the most dangerous thing out here, is heavy slush. So what you're going to do is, that vehicle I found is the lightest vehicle that I can live in. Still pile a bunch of junk in there and have it be a van, a bed, a office, a tool pouch, a fishing platform. I fly kites. I do frisbees. I do frisbee golf sometimes. Whatever it takes to keep my boredom intact, and whatever else comes up, lassoing. Just whatever. But you've got to do stuff to amuse yourself, or you will go totally crazy out here. But to finish up with the Toad, you want that as light as possible, but as effective a tool as you possibly can have it. And that's what I found in the 95 to 98 Honda Odyssey. And my favorite is the 97. And that's still the standard motor, the lower horsepower motor. It gets you there on time, but it isn't any speed demon. But it's very simple to work on, and I know pretty much all the top Achilles tendon secrets to keep it running good. And I meant to tell you, I use total synthetic Mobil 1 oil, and I change the oil every 20 to 25,000, changing the filter every 10,000, hopefully, and never touching the transmission except to put fluid in it. So that's my addition to the Toad at this time. Sorry to keep bringing it up, but it's important. So, let's talk about, well, I've got you here. Let's talk about the transmission. Now, we're talking about an automatic 6-speed Allison transmission. And what it looks like is the control panel looks like this. It's on the dash. And it's got 6 forward gears. I'm in 5th. I'm going uphill a little bit. Uphill here. And it's got reverse, neutral, and drive, just like a car. It's got an up and down mode for shifting, and it's got a mode. I hope I get this focused. It's got a mode. Now, the key to this transmission is it's going to give you, in a regular running thing without the mode, it is going to give you the best fuel mileage that it can give you. So what it's going to do is keep that in a higher gear as long as it can. And as you start going downhill, it doesn't downshift until the last minute. This is fine if you want good gas mileage. So, as long as you have that mode not pushed in, you're going to get the best gas mileage, the highest gear you can get. When you're running uphill, downhill, in the city, or you need power, you push the mode button, and a little red light will come on telling you it's in mode, or some of the newer ones actually have a light on there that says mode, a red light, so you know that it's in mode. This is going to give you the crappiest mileage, but it'll downshift at least 1 gear all the time, hold it down until the last minute, until it can't stand it anymore and it has to shift. But it will also downshift a lot quicker and keep you in lower gears to keep your RPM up. So that mode is made to give you the maximum amount of horsepower or stopping power that it can give you, and not care about the fuel mileage at all. You're more carried about the power or the stopping ability of that transmission. Now on this particular truck, the mode button is disabled. Not to be concerned, because they have a Jake brake or an engine brake on it to boot. So when you put that engine brake on, it'll act like that mode and start downshifting quicker. Only problem is it kind of eats up your fuel mileage. It doesn't freewheel downhill, so you turn that engine brake, and the engine brake's going to be an E, or it looks like a picture of a motor with circles, broken circles around it that look like brake pads, and that's going to be on your dash somewhere. This one here, I'll try to show it to you, but I don't know if I can focus it. That little light right there, I can't get it focused, but you can see the lines around the engine. There's a little picture of an engine, and there's the lines around it. That is your engine brake. And when that is on, you're holding that transmission down only when you're going downhill. It doesn't do anything on the flat ground when you're accelerating, but neither does the Jake brake. So that's your different braking mechanisms when it comes to slowing that truck down. But to reiterate it, once you are in this driver's seat of a commercial vehicle or a coach or whatever it is with heavy duty, you have a job to do. And your job is to keep that motor in a higher RPM. A lower RPM on a diesel's murder. They don't perform well and they don't give you very good mileage, but you'll eat that motor up trying to lug it down in a low RPM. It's made to run at a higher RPM. That's where it loves it. So your job is to start with that transmission that you're going to drive a truck regularly for a long time. And the reason I know this, I checked with Charlie in Texas, who is the king of buses, trucks, automatic, standard transmissions. It doesn't matter. The man knows everything about everything. He told me once you're behind that wheel, you have a job to do. And your job is to keep that running with traffic as safely as possible and as effectively as possible and efficiently. So get in with your Allison transmission or automatic transmission and put it in first gear. Start out from 0 and take that, put your foot right to the floor, and then figure out what gear and RPM that motor maxes out at in first gear. Once you know that, go to second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and climb it all the way up so you know what every gear is going to do. So that when you're in trouble, or you need power, or you need that motor to be at maximum horsepower, you'll know which gear you should be in. And if you properly plan your gears, then you should almost never have to use the dadgum brakes unless you're coming to a complete stop. You can actually play that transmission and motor and the Jake brake till you don't even need brakes. I've driven, I hate to admit it, I've driven coaches and trucks long distances with no brakes. And one story I think I already told you is I've got a coach with 17 riders on it, and I'm on the top of Donner Pass in California. That's where all those people ate the other people. I'm starting downhill, and it is just bumper to bumper trucks going 70 miles an hour, angry, downhill for seemed like a day and a half. Straight downhill, heavy curves. So I downshift, and I'm down into third gear. But I have to put my foot right on the gas, right to the floor, to keep it doing 55 to 60 miles an hour with the weight of the bus. All of a sudden, the truck in front of me loses a big piece of steel. I can't get away from it. It goes underneath the coach and it knocks the front air cylinder. It punches a hole in it. Now, not so it emptied all the air, but enough so the compressor barely could keep up. And I realized because when the pressure drops to 60 pounds or lower, your brakes are all going to lock up. So that I have to keep the RPM up to keep the compressor keeping up with the leak. But I know if I touch those brakes, the pressure is going to drop, and that bus is going to come to a screeching halt right in the middle of Donner Pass downhill. So I stayed right in third gear, kept it right to the floor, and ran all the way down Donner Pass, all the way down into California until I could find a place to pull off in a rest area and have somebody, mechanic, come out and replace that brake cylinder. But it can be done. I'm not saying it's safe, but sometimes you just have no choice out here. All right, didn't mean to bore you, but I need to get this information out to you. If it helps, man, I'm tickled. If you already know this stuff, just ignore me. Film at 11.